It was supposed to be a simple test, something fun, a curiosity sparked by a school project and a few innocent questions about family history. Maya and Mia, identical twins who had shared everything since birth, never expected that a routine DNA test would change their lives forever. The day had started like any other. They sat side by side in their school cafeteria, scrolling through their phones when an ad popped up. Discover your ancestry. DNA tests now 50% off. Mia nudged her sister. We should do this, she said, excitement in her voice. It'll be cool to see where we come from. Maya agreed. It wasn't like they had any doubts. After all, they were twins. They looked the same, had the same birthday, and had never spent more than a few days apart. But the idea of learning more about their roots intrigued them. A few days later, they received their test kits in the mail. It was simple enough: swab, seal, send. They laughed as they followed the steps, joking about what they might find. What if we have some royal blood in us? Maya teased. Or what if we're part alien? Mia added, making them both burst into laughter. Weeks passed, and they had almost forgotten about the test. Life had gone back to normal: school, sports, late-night conversations about everything and nothing. Then one evening, an email notification popped up on Mia's phone. Their results were ready. Excited, they huddled around Maya's laptop, clicking on the link. Their eyes scanned the screen as numbers and percentages filled the page. The first few details were expected: African ancestry, a mix of cultures from different regions. But as they scrolled further, something didn't add up. Mia frowned. Wait, why do our genetic matches look so different? Maya's stomach tightened. She clicked another tab, comparing their DNA markers side by side. The numbers weren't identical. In fact, they were shockingly different. Her hands felt clammy as she clicked on the siblings section. Instead of the usual 100% twin match, the results read something else entirely. Mia gasped. Maya, this says we're only half-sisters. Silence filled the room. The words didn't make sense. It had to be a mistake, right? They had shared everything: birthdays, childhood memories, even their fears and dreams. How could they not be identical twins? Before they could process the shock, Maya's phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hesitantly, she answered. Hello, is this Maya Johnson? A man's voice asked, calm but firm. Yes, she replied, her heart pounding. This is Dr. Reynolds from the Genetic Testing Center. I need you and your sister to stay where you are. We've identified something in your results that requires immediate attention. Maya's breath caught in her throat. What do you mean? There was a pause. Then the doctor's voice lowered. We've already contacted the authorities. Stay put. The line went dead. Maya and Mia stared at each other, fear creeping into their wide eyes. The room suddenly felt too small, the air too thick. Why would a doctor call them like that? And why would he involve the police? A distant siren wailed in the background, growing louder by the second. Maya's hands trembled as she set her phone down. Mia's face was pale, her usual confidence replaced by a look of pure confusion. Neither of them spoke, their thoughts racing in 1,000 directions. The sound of approaching sirens grew louder, the flashing red and blue lights reflecting through their bedroom window. What's happening? Mia whispered, her voice barely audible. Maya shook her head. I don't know. But why would a DNA test make the police show up at our house? Their mother's voice suddenly rang out from downstairs. Girls, come down here now. They exchanged a panicked glance before rushing down the stairs. Their mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed, a deep frown on her face. Behind her, 2 uniformed officers stood on the porch, their expressions unreadable. A tall man in a lab coat stood with them, clutching a folder. "Are you Maya and Mia Johnson?" one of the officers asked. Maya swallowed hard. "Yes." The man in the lab coat stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Reynolds from the testing lab. We need to speak with you and your parents immediately." Their mother's frown deepened. "What is this about? Why are the police here?" Dr. Reynolds hesitated before answering. "The DNA results your daughters received were highly unusual. It's a matter of serious concern." Maya's stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" Dr. Reynolds opened the folder and pulled out a stack of papers. "Your test results don't indicate that you're identical twins. That in itself isn't alarming. Fraternal twins sometimes look alike. But based on your genetic markers, Maya and Mia, you aren't just half-sisters. You weren't supposed to be born to the same parents at all." The room fell silent. Their mother's face went blank, as if she had stopped breathing. Maya's hands clenched into fists. "That's impossible," their mother finally said. "I gave birth to both of them. I was there. I know my own children." Dr. Reynolds nodded. "I understand this is hard to process, but the results don't lie. There's a strong indication that one of these girls may not be biologically yours." Maya felt like the ground beneath her feet had disappeared. Her entire body felt cold. "What are you saying?" The officer beside Dr. Reynolds cleared his throat. "This could be a case of a hospital mix-up, or something else." His voice was firm, careful. "We need to investigate further." Tears welled up in Mia's eyes. "This doesn't make sense. We've been together our whole lives. We have the same memories, the same parents, the same." Dr. Reynolds cut her off gently. "We don't have all the answers yet, but we need to find out what happened." Maya turned to her mother, desperation in her voice. "Mom, tell them this is a mistake. Tell them they're wrong." Her mother's face had changed. There was something unreadable in her eyes, something almost afraid. "Girl's eye, I don't know what to say." Maya's stomach dropped. She had never heard her mother sound so unsure before. The officer cleared his throat again. "We need to take another DNA sample. From both of you, and from your parents." Mia shook her head. "No, we already did the test. We don't need another one." Dr. Reynolds sighed. "I understand you're scared, but there's something much bigger going on here. If there was a mistake at birth, or if someone switched a child on purpose, we need to find out the truth." Maya's mind reeled. Switched? At birth? No, that kind of thing only happened in movies. It wasn't real. It couldn't be real. Her mother let out a shaky breath. "Fine, we'll take the test." The officers nodded, but there was something heavy in the air, something unsaid. Mia glanced at Maya, her eyes filled with silent questions. The world they had always known was suddenly shifting beneath them, and neither of them had any idea what they were about to uncover. The air inside the house felt heavy as everyone sat around the dining table, the weight of the situation pressing down on them. Dr. Reynolds carefully prepared the DNA kits, while the officers stood nearby, observing everything closely. Maya and Mia exchanged nervous glances, their minds still struggling to process what they had just been told. Their mother sat stiffly, her hands gripping the edge of the table, while their father, who had just arrived, rubbed his temples, looking both confused and frustrated. Mia swallowed hard. "How long will it take to get the results?" Dr. Reynolds sighed. "A few days. But given the circumstances, we'll expedite them as much as possible." He handed their mother a swab. "Mrs. Johnson, if you could start." Their mother hesitated for just a fraction of a second before taking it. Maya noticed the way her fingers trembled as she swabbed the inside of her cheek. Something about it made her stomach turn. Was it just the shock, or was there something more? Maya and Mia quickly followed, then their father. Dr. Reynolds carefully packed the samples, sealing them in a small bag before standing up. "We'll be in touch as soon as we have answers," he said. The officers exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. As the front door shut behind them, the silence in the house felt deafening. Their mother stood abruptly, rubbing her forehead. "I need some air," she muttered before walking toward the back patio. Maya turned to her father. "Dad, do you think this is some kind of mistake?" Her father exhaled, shaking his head. "I don't know, sweetheart, but we'll get to the bottom of it." Mia wasn't convinced. There was something their mother wasn't saying. Something about her reaction didn't feel right. She had always been strong, the kind of woman who faced problems head-on. But tonight, she looked afraid. Later that evening, the house was unusually quiet. Their father had gone to bed early, but Maya and Mia couldn't sleep. They lay awake in their shared room, staring at the ceiling. Maya finally whispered, "Something doesn't add up." Mia turned onto her side. "I know. Did you see Mom's face? She knows something." Maya bit her lip. What if this isn't a mistake? What if something really did happen when we were born?" Mia didn't answer right away. She didn't want to say it out loud, but deep down, she was thinking the same thing. The next morning, their mother was unusually quiet. She barely touched her coffee, her eyes distant. Their father sat next to her, his jaw tight, but he wasn't asking questions either. It was as if neither of them wanted to talk about it. Mia broke the silence. "Mom, is there something you're not telling us?" Their mother blinked, as if snapped out of a daze. "What?" "You've been acting strange ever since the doctor showed up," Maya said. "It's like you're scared of something." Their mother's fingers tightened around her coffee mug. "I'm not scared," she said quickly. "I'm just overwhelmed. This is a lot to take in." Maya studied her face. She was lying. Before either twin could press further, a knock at the door made them all jump. Their father got up to answer it, and when he opened the door, an older woman stood outside. She looked nervous, clutching a small envelope in her hands. "I need to speak with the Johnson family," she said, her voice trembling. "It's about your daughters." Their mother's face went pale. "Who are you?" The woman hesitated before stepping inside. "My name is Linda Parker.